Well, the joint is jumping here at the Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville. You see the banners, you know the tradition. And there is a tradition of great basketball between the Razorbacks and the Crimson Tide that'll be renewed today. There you take a look at that Alabama starting lineup. And Cliff, you talked about the triple threat, but Alonzo G, a guy that has given them steady, outstanding play.
Well, he's the X factor for Alabama. He gives them three-point shooting, shoots it deep. He's also a tremendous rebounder. He's a wing player that can get you double-doubles.
And for the homestanding Arkansas Razorbacks, we talked about Patrick Beverly. There's Gary Irvin, a guy that started 33 of 34 games for Mississippi State a couple of years ago, still adjusting to the position here in Fayetteville. But Stan Heath is hoping this could be his breakout game.
Well, you see he's fourth in the SEC in assists. The big thing for him is not to turn over the basketball. He keeps the turnover down. They've got an opportunity to win this basketball game.
There you take a look at Mark Gottfried, the head coach at Alabama. He might not have been in this business had it not been for you, Cliff.
Well, he's a young man that his father, Joe Gottfried, I hired him at the University of South Alabama as athletic director. He came as a snotty-nosed kid to Mobile, Alabama. Ended up going to the University of Alabama. Who knows what would happen had he not come to Mobile, Alabama. But what a job he's done at the University of Alabama. And Stan Heath, can't say enough about him. Progress would be the thing with him. 9 wins first year, 12 second, 18 third, 22 last year. And they go to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1999.
This jump ball is brought to you by Alltel Wireless. Take the MyCircle head-to-head challenge at alltelcircle.com and see how the competition stacks up against MyCircle. Tom Lopes set to bring it up. He works with Mike Thibodeau and Brian Forte. And off the opening tap, the Razorbacks will get the first crack on the offensive end.
Alabama opens up man-to-man defense. It's been a strong part of their game with those long arms. Be important for Arkansas to change sides of the floor, go inside, and let the defense make the mistake.
There you see Irvin triggering that offense. And there's Beverly, the young man from Chicago, Illinois, that has had such a big impact. He gets it back and can't hit the first shot of the game.
Well, we talked about Arkansas being able to push it, but this Alabama team will push it. If they don't have it, they'll go strong inside.
They are a physically imposing team that has had to overcome a lot so far in this season, and that'll be one of the storylines we'll be following today.
Look for Alabama to punch that basketball inside.
And the first foul of the game is whistled against Gary Irvin, who gets called for the reach-in against Steele.
Well, when you look at the series, Arkansas leads 22-20. That tells you how close this series has been. Last year they had 2 shootouts. Should be one here today.
Last year in Tuscaloosa, Arkansas couldn't hold a 13-point lead. Steele hit 3 free throws with 8 seconds to go. As Davidson misses, Hendricks back up, but the blocker extraordinaire, Stephen Hill, swats it away, and then he's called for being on the sideline.
Well, we see the strength of both teams. Alabama taking the basketball inside, strong seal, strong offensive rebound. At the same time, the shot blocking presence of Stephen Hill, you see that inside. He's got long pipes. Look at the length of those pipes. He says, not in my house today.
He's got long pipes and plenty of hair, too.
Well, scrappiness, just what you expect out of SEC basketball. Players diving after loose balls, enthusiasm, energy, opening the SEC West up with a tremendous matchup.
There's Davidson off the give and go, and there's another block as Hill comes over from the backside. That's his 42nd of the season, and it leads to the first bucket of the game as Sonny Weems hits.
And it ignites the crowd. Block shots, defense ignites his crowd. The crowd has erupted early in this basketball game.
There's Steele, the preseason All-American who can't hit the 3. He's been hampered by injury, so he's gone to much more of a perimeter game. And back at the other end, Weems goes to the basket and he draws the hard foul.
And you can see right off the bat, if you miss against Arkansas, if you block a shot with Arkansas, they're off to the races. Irvin pushing, moving the basketball, fearless going into the paint, will kick it off and dish and hit the shots. And Sonny Weems, #1 JUCO player in America last year. This is his first Division I game. Stan Heath wants him to be more aggressive. At the same time, this is a talented, skilled player.
And an offensive rebound, not once, but twice off the missed free throw. Charles Thomas gets it in. And the Razorbacks have got it going as they have hit for the first 5 points of this one.
Well, they've lit up the crowd and they've lit up the scoreboard. This crowd is into this basketball game. Alabama's going to have to settle down. It's the first game, and they will.
They've not had a sellout this year, and the place is full today. Mark Gottfried has seen his team turn the ball over, miss its first 3 shots, and the Razorbacks with a chance to build on a 5-point lead.
Arkansas with motion offense. Moving the ball, screening, trying to get it inside. Thomas likes to drive from the high post.
He worked all offseason long on his ball handling skills, and that was a nice behind-the-back dribble. He couldn't convert, though. And Alabama still looks for its first points. Riley penetrates. Hill got that one, and that looked to me like that one might have been on the way down. But the officials say no, and Hill, you want to talk about this young man, Cliff. 97 block shots. He broke Oliver Miller's sophomore block shots record, and he's already got 2 today.
He's 3rd in Arkansas history in block shot. He's a space eater.
Not only can he block shots, but he can follow them up. And Stephen Hill has been king of the hill early in this one as Mark Gottfried is forced to take a 30.
Well, we can see early how the crowd has erupted.
Talk to Chuck. You need to talk to someone who knows. Talk to Chuck. Cliff, what is Mark Gottfried saying to his team right now?
Well, he wants to get his team settled down. Right now, Arkansas is blocking shots. Alabama's playing on the first side of the floor. They need to change sides of the floor, break this defense down somewhat. Hill is swatting. He's a space eater. He wants to settle them down on the offensive end because that's igniting the run for Arkansas.
Crimson Tide has yet to scratch. And the Razorbacks have not only converted, but as you've stated, Cliff, they've got this crowd into it. And now you have Alabama turning it over for the 2nd time and for the 2nd straight trip. And this is most uncharacteristic of an Alabama team that has been awfully sharp in putting up a 13-1 pre-conference record.
Well, this is a team that has done extremely well in non-conference play, but we're in SEC play now. It's a different ball game. Patience is going to be an important factor for this Alabama team.
Hill got the seal down on the baseline, but he couldn't handle the pass, and the Razorbacks have committed their first turnover. There's Steele, guarded by Irvin. And Steele has been playing through a bad ankle, a bad knee, and he says it just really restricted him in terms of being able to blow by people.
However, this is probably the healthiest this Alabama team has been all year.
Mark Gottfried told us last night it was the first week that they have practiced all week long with Steele and with Jamario Davidson. But Stan Heath has been practicing all season long with Sonny Weems. And the Razorbacks have raced out to a 9-0 lead.
Well, we're seeing early on, Dave, the importance of that key of transition defense for Alabama. If you allow Arkansas to run and explode in this open floor, this is what you'll see. Dagger, splash.
Sonny Weems, a guy that's coming in here as a JUCO transfer, a 48% shooter from the field as Davidson misfires, and Bama is 0 of 7 from the field. Boy, Weems has hit some tough shots. He missed the one underneath, but sticks it back in. And Sonny Weems, 3 of 4 from the field. And another fast start for the Hogs. They jumped out 7-0 on Tulsa on Tuesday night. And they've gotten the first 11 here this afternoon, as Mark Gottfried will be most happy when the under-16 timeout hits. after that turnover. It has been whole hog so far. The Razorbacks are rolling against the Tide. Raced out to an 11-0 lead, and Cliff Ellis, the biggest reason has been the big man, Stephen Hill.
Well, it's a block party for Stephen Hill. You see the length of those pipes. He's a SWAT team member. He says, not in my house. He's an eraser. He has really set the tone early for this Razorback basketball team. It's ignited their break and allowed this run, and it's gotten this crowd into this basketball game.
And Mark Gottfried's club, this is not the way he thought they would start out. Bama has gone 0 of 7 from the field. They've turned it over 3 times, and they've allowed 6 points in the paint.
Their offense has got to change sides of the floor, go inside, and let the defense make the mistake. They're making the mistake on the offensive end. There's a high-low motion offense that Arkansas uses. Hill's not a strong presence offensively down inside, but he'll set mean screens. And there we see the splash and the dagger of Gary Irvin off the screens.
Boy, and if Gary Irvin starts hitting threes like that with what he can do in the open court, this hole gets even bigger. 14-0 is the run that Arkansas has started this game with as Thomas pulls down the board. Thomas on the bounce, penetrates and can't get the finish. Nice move, but didn't get the bucket.
Alabama needs a good set on offense. Look for Steele to rub off of a high post, come off some screens, or set a screen.
There's Riley, who's back home in Arkansas, as Davidson turns, and finally, after about 4.5 minutes of play, check that, 6.5 minutes of play, Arkansas finally gives up its first basket as Davidson hits for the Tide. Alabama starts the game 1 of 9 from the field.
Arkansas will set a lot of screens. They're changing sides of the floor.
Thomas off the bounce. Can't get the 3 to go. And at the other end in transition, Riley can't hit. Fans, watch for the Geico College Basketball Campus Tour, a season-long traveling exhibit celebrating the greatest shooters of all time. Go to lfsports.com for more information and to find out when Geico will be visiting a college campus near you. First substitution of the game checks in for Arkansas as Darian Towns, the 6'10", 255-pound sophomore, checks in to replace Charles Thomas. Now, I started to mention this a little earlier, Cliff. For those of you who think, look at this score and think this one's over, this is indicative of this series. Last year in Tuscaloosa, Arkansas couldn't hold a 13-point lead. Last year here in Fayetteville, the Hogs rallied from 18 down to win. So this is a series of runs. Jump shot up and good. Another newcomer, the freshman from Chicago. Beverly hits. And Arkansas now has its biggest lead at 15.
Let's see if Steele sets screens or takes screens. It's going to be incumbent upon this Alabama team to keep punching the basketball inside.
Hendricks with a spin on the baseline, and he's going to get called for the offensive foul as he hooked Darian Towns. Let's take a look at some other scores from around college basketball. Our earlier game on Lincoln Financial Sports had the Florida Gators knocking off the Georgia Bulldogs, although I think Dennis Felton's club has greatly improved.
Tremendously improved. You got to give Georgia credit. Florida, of course, the team to beat. National championship, defending for the national title.
A couple interesting scores there is Duke and Virginia Tech in overtime. That one went down to a desperation shot last year. Good night. Vincent Hunter into the game. He hits the 3, and Arkansas 3 of 5 on 3-pointers. This has been an unconscious start for Stan Heath's club as they have the basketball in an 18-point lead. And Beverly is fouled. He'll go to the free throw line.
Dave, if you turn this basketball over against this Arkansas team, they will erupt this crowd, and they will erupt themselves. What a start for the Razorbacks. Off of their defense, it allows them the open lanes.
Demetrius Jemison just checked into the game. He gets called for the foul. Boy, this Beverly kid, you see, second in the conference in steals. He was a young man, Cliff. 50% or better shooting in 8 of 14 games so far. And as a senior at Marshall High School in Chicago, he led the state in scoring 37.3. He scored 40 or more 9 times.
He leads the SEC freshman in 3 categories. Is in top 5, 7 of 8 categories. That's pretty strong. You think he's going to be on the all-SEC freshman team?
Pretty good start. He checks Riley now. And G hadn't gotten loose yet either. Nice jump stop there as he got it to go. He got Beverly on the switch. And Alonzo G gets his first 2 of the game. Towns jump hook won't fall. As Yamin Coleman with a good defense as Mark Gottfried continues to go to different folks to try and get a combination in there. Towns got a block that time. 3rd today for the Razorbacks.
Alabama continues to need to get the basketball inside.
Nice dish as G snuck it in there and got it to Demetrius Jemison.
Well, he drew the defender and made the pitch off. Excellent move by Alonzo G.
Three-pointer rattles up and in as Hunter got a good look but couldn't get it to go down.
And the quick shooting is playing in Alabama's hands.
3-on-1 for the Hogs. Irvin leaves it, no look, and Weems with the finish.
We see the breakout and we see the flush from the big man. He flushed it.
G kicks it back out. Irvin, the SEC, one of the 4th in the SEC in assists, has 4. And this one has ignited this Arkansas crowd. It has been all Hogs early in Fayetteville. It's our Alltel SEC Game of the Week. We hope you're enjoying it. I can tell you the fans here at the Bud Walton Arena are enjoying what they've seen. Dave Baker, Cliff Ellis here as the Razorbacks have raced out to a 23-6 lead over the Alabama Crimson Tide. And Cliff, the Big E tells us that turnovers are the story in this one. Arkansas is 4-6. They've got 9 points off those turnovers. And there you see that Alabama has forced 1 turnover. They've not gotten any points off of it.
Turnovers and block shots. That's ignited the break. Arkansas has taken advantage of it. It's going to be incumbent upon this Alabama team to stay under control, play good defense, get some misses of their own, get some fast break opportunities, take the basketball inside.
Alonzo G short on that free throw. And also checking into the lineup during that timeout, Brandon Hollinger, 5'11", 170-pound sophomore from Mobile, who will be in the backcourt with Ronald Steele. They'll be in there with Yamin Coleman, G.
What's interesting about G, 57% field goal, 45% three-point, but around 60% of the foul line, an area that will be important to the Tide to try to get this SEC Western crown.
Wow.
That they're predicted to win. This is the preseason SEC West champion preseason by the media in Alabama.
Arkansas fouled G on the 3, but he could not convert. Here's Beverly. He is an active player. Thomas with a shot clock running down. My goodness.
Well, Hunter's the most skilled big man that Arkansas has. He can step out and hit a tray. And we've seen that. What a nice youngster.
Another block shot for the Razorbacks. That's their 4th. Arkansas 4 of 7 to start this game from three-point land.
Well, they're hitting it offensively. They're moving the basketball. And I think that a shooter against Alabama's big men that can step out Davidson and Hendricks, not the type of players that want to go out and guard beyond the three-point stripe. Probably haven't had to do that much in non-conference play. Hunter wide open.
Hunter, young man out of J.A. Fair in Little Rock. It's always had a lot of ability. He's been hampered by injuries, but he's got it going today. And speaking of getting it going,
Mikhail Riley.
His first scratch.
Pine Bluff.
Coming back home to play before the Arkansas folks. First three of the day for the Crimson Tide. And there's Riley getting a hand in and forcing a turnover.
Well, Riley's a young man that has given this team a spark many times for Alabama. He gave him a spark with a three-point shot, then made a play defensively. This guy has gotten several double-doubles. He's made some opportunities happen. You see him scrap for the basketball. You got to love this young man from Pine Bluff.
Interesting story. There you see Hill back in about Riley. He was out at Panola, Texas Junior College. Alabama didn't have a spot for him early. He commits to UAB. There's the coaching change down there as Riley can't hit on that one. And he didn't want to stay after the coaching change, and they called up Mark Gottfried and said, "You still interested?" He said, "Yeah, boy."
Well, I tell you, they got a steal late.
And there's Riley. He's been all over the place the last several trips as he got that rebound. Steele with a penetration in the pitch. And a tough shot by Hendricks goes in off the glass.
A ridiculous reverse. All created by Ronald Steele in his penetration. It'll be incumbent upon Ronald Steele to make plays for this team to get them back in.
Now Bama has quietly rattled off 5 straight points as Hill gets the Irvin miss and gives it back. And you can see Hill, he's got his 2 fingers taped up. I think he jammed those fingers again, but
he might have jammed them on the rim. The guy's got the pipes.
Well, you can see he's in a lot of pain right there, but he did a nice job of getting that rebound as Hendricks is called for his second foul and then giving it back to Irvin.
All right, one shot now, straight in. No leaning. No leaning, buddy. You go what?
Could have a jam finger from all those blocks he's been swatting back at people. Another substitution as the crowd gives a nice hand to Gary Irvin going to the bench. Sean McCurdy, 6'1", 186-pound sophomore from Westport, Connecticut via St. Anthony's High School.
His father was the leading NCAA scorer in 1975 for the Richmond Spiders. I remember those times. Bob McCurdy. Good genes.
Steele drives around McCurdy and gets it to go. And because of his injuries, that's something that Ronald Steele hadn't been able to do nearly enough for himself or for his coach.
Motion offense by Arkansas. Watch Hill set a lot of screens trying to free the shooters.
That time Beverly gets a double screen from Thomas and Hill. But it's Davidson that pulls down the rebound.
And with Arkansas missing, it gives Alabama a chance to push the basketball.
Davidson, a rough go of it early on as he's hit just one of his first 5 shots.
Watch Hill continually set screens to try to free shooters.
Boy, you saw that block and then you heard it as well as Jemison comes over and swats it away. And the Crimson Tide trying to work their way back. But it's the Razorbacks who remain in control. Go to Yahoo Sports to see over 45 Lincoln Financial Sports SEC basketball games, and for only $4.95 a month, you can hear thousands of audio broadcasts. Be sure and follow your favorite team all season long at Yahoo Sports. Dave Baker, Cliff Ellis, along with our producer Dave Berenger and our director Dave Burchett here at the Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville. Arkansas just came rolling out of the gates, and believe it or not, yeah, I'm going to say this, Alabama's got it back within 15. But Cliff, you know, this, as we mentioned earlier, this is indicative of this series, and this is where you get a guy like Mark Gottfried, who's got an experienced basketball team, that they're not going to lose perspective on things.
It's the first road game, first 5 minutes, the Hogs, they owned it. There's a lot of basketball to be played.
Charles Thomas gets that bucket, and then Hill with another rebound. I got to tell you, Cliff, I mean, this is as well as I've seen Stephen Hill play. He's always been a shot blocker, as you said, but he seems to be moving better out there on the court and have a better command of his overall game.
Alabama's playing into his hands by playing on one side of the floor. And it gives Hill an opportunity to get in there. That is his weakness. He doesn't score very well down low. He's got to be very deep. He does that.
Just looked like he got caught in an in-between spot between trying to put it in and using the board as Davidson misses, but there is Hill again. His 4th rebound.
And again, Alabama shooting on the first side of the floor, not breaking this Arkansas defense down. Arkansas on the other end takes it inside, kicks it to the weak side. Bang. Have an opportunity for a shot. Now, Alabama will make the pass to wing and brush Hill off and try to get him inside, coming off of screens or setting screens. It can pay off dividends.
Hill got another block, and they go to the floor. There's a tie-up, and the arrow points to the Crimson Tide. Hey, fans, log on now to lfsports.com for a chance to join us at an upcoming game as part of the Bell South One of the Crew contest. You and a guest could win a VIP trip, including travel and hotel accommodations, to a basketball telecast and go behind the scenes with our broadcast crew. Check out lfsports.com for complete rules and details. G can't connect inside, and look at the Razorbacks run the floor.
Well, we said the key for Alabama is transition defense. Arkansas is exposing them. Alabama simply not getting back on defense. A dagger for Arkansas off of missed shots.
Lance Weems, the National Junior College Player of the Year, comes into his first SEC game. He's hit 5 of his first 7 for 11 points.
All ignited by the push of Gary Irvin, but it starts with the block shots of Stephen Hill early and is built and built and built, and it's not stopped. And I've been impressed with Arkansas, even when they didn't have the break. They've taken their half-court offense, they've moved the ball, they've changed sides of the floor, they've gone inside. Alabama has not been in this situation this year, trying to get it back a little bit too quick. They need a little bit more patience on offense, but it's got to start on the defensive end. Alabama needs some stops, but it starts with transition defense. I know Mark called that timeout because the Tide is not getting back on defense, which is a key to the game.
A few years ago, we heard about the great on-court escapades of Lance Weems. Sonny Weems threatened to make himself a household name as well.
Lance could be watching in Birmingham, Alabama. He certainly could shoot. I remember 37 against the Hogs one time.
Steele has that one blocked. 5th block of the day for the Razorbacks. And look at Hill to Irvin, and great passing. It started with great defense, and even the big guy got in on great passing in the transition, and that was not what Mark Gottfried wanted to see out of that timeout.
Well, when you share the candy, good things happen. People like candy. This is sharing the candy. Beverly makes the pass to Hill. Hill makes the pass to Irvin. Irvin finishes it. Boom. Foul inside. Sharing the candy. It's so sweet.
And Beverly knocks down the first free throw. Interesting stat. Interesting stat for Arkansas. In 12 of 14 games this year, Arkansas shot more free throws than their opponents. And in their 3 losses, they've gotten outshot at the free throw line. Today, Alabama 0 of 3 from the line. Arkansas 6 of 8.
That's a usual rule of thumb. If you get to the line more than the opponent, you usually win.
Davidson throws it away as he and G miscommunicated. 7th turnover for the Crimson Tide. And I guess if you're Mark Gottfried, you got to be saying, and you've probably been in situations like this, Cliff, it can't get any worse, can it?
Well, I know I'm beating a dead horse to death, but Alabama's simply trying to get it back too quick. It's got to be a little bit more patient, but it's got to start on the defensive end. They need some stops.
Tide fell behind by 20, and then they put together a little 7-2 run. But now they're looking up at a 21-point margin as Towns gets called for the travel. 3rd turnover against the Hogs.
Arkansas continuing man-to-man defense. Sticky, razor-sharp defense.
No pun intended. G penetrates and draws the contact.
But again, we see Alabama. They're going to the line this time, but everything is happening on the first side of the floor. G takes the basketball inside. He does get the foul, but it puts Arkansas in position. They may be getting a little bit tired, but it puts them in position to block the shots, being on the first side of the floor. This time there was a foul, not a block shot. G goes to the line.
Alonzo G from Palm Beach Dwyer High School. And you know, Cliff, you've got to wonder just how much Ronald Steele's health is affecting things, because he's a guy that, you know, he's got such a great game inside and out. But in looking at the stats, we thought it was a misprint. But Steele, to this point in the season, he led the SEC in free throw shooting last year. He's only shot 18 of 19 free throws. He's only been to the free throw line 19 times. And he told me before the game that between the knee and the ankle, he just doesn't have that explosiveness that he's had all of his life.
Well, his mobility has been limited with all the injuries that he's had. We're seeing a 2-2-1 three-quarter court press by Alabama, making them see two defense. Very good move and going to the zone. Good change, good strategy by Mark Godfrey.
What do you like about it?
Well, I like the fact that it gives Arkansas a different look. It's making them see two defenses, and there we see the turnover from the zone. They've been playing man-to-man defense. They throw a three-quarter court 2-2-1 press up, back up to 2-3 zone. Arkansas hadn't seen it. They got a possession. This could be something to change the momentum of the game around. Good call by Mark Godfrey.
To use a baseball analogy, could just be the same as an off-speed pitch.
That's exactly right.
How about that? Virginia Tech is beating number 5 Duke 69-67. The Blue Devils needed that desperation shot last year, but they don't have any Hail Mary today as Virginia Tech pulls the upset as Steele hits for the second time for the Crimson Tide.
Payback for the Hokies. Again, 2-3 zone by Alabama. Right now Arkansas standing. High-low post. Need movement out of Arkansas.
Beverly got a look. Boy, is this young man impressive or what, Coach?
Well, he shot that from the outskirts of Fayetteville. The value of the three-point shot, the threat of the three-point shot.
Nice feed inside. Jemison can't get it to go as he was challenged on the shot. And there's a whistle underneath.
I'll tell you what I saw then. This is the first time I've seen Jemison. He has a quick rise. That was a good feed from Steele. Jemison, quick rise to the hole and made the play.
The newcomers getting it up and down for the Razorbacks. How about that? They start him young here in Arkansas. And that little cutie's had an awful lot to cheer about so far today. The Hogs have led it by as many as 21. And right now the margin is 20 against Mark Gottfried's 8th-ranked Crimson Tide.
Well, you have to give a lot of credit to Gary Irvin. We see him there. 5.6 assists, no turnovers. He's played almost a perfect game.
You know, and Cliff, there was a day in college basketball when everybody said, oh, you got to have experience and everything. But you look at what else has happened with Arkansas. You've got Sonny Weems, the JUCO transfer, with 11. You got Beverly, the freshman, who's got 9. They've combined for 20 of the Razorbacks' 37.
Arkansas has gone zone. A 2-3 zone. Both teams are playing zone.
A little different look out of the timeout, as you mentioned earlier. And G can't get the 3 to go, and a nice play down there on the baseline as Hunter was able to save it off of an Alabama player, and the Razorbacks will have a chance to extend that 20-point lead.
And out of the timeout, we see substitutions. We see change in defense in the zones. Here's the 2-2-1 press. You want the ball in the middle of the floor. If you get to the side, it could be an easy trap angle.
See number 3, Justin Tubbs, a 6'2", 175-pound freshman from Trussville, Alabama, who's checked in for the Crimson Tide.
And I think Cranford's in because of this Alabama zone. Most of his attempts come from 3.
Preston Cranford, a 6'7", 214-pound junior. You see him number 22 as Hunter had to put one up with a shot clock down at 3. And there's Cranford getting the rebound. But Towns couldn't convert for the Razorbacks.
Now the zone may force Alabama to change sides of the floor and give them looks, and also opens up rebounding. When you have a zone defense, you don't have the block out. I don't know how long Arkansas is going to stay in this zone. I think it plays in Alabama's hand at this point, as good as Arkansas was playing defense. But with the zone, you want to move the ball, move yourself, make some ball fakes, continue to take the basketball inside. It be incumbent upon both teams to do that. But you need ball and man movement.
Well, I'm telling you now, I'm no coach, but if you let Patrick Beverly catch the ball at that spot, I believe he could hit him about all day.
Well, I love the way he pulls the trigger. As I talked about, it's Clint Eastwood style. He's a gunslinger from Chicago, I can tell you. And he's going to go a long way in helping Arkansas challenge for the SEC Western crown. How the West is won, it goes a long way today.
G has that one swatted away by Towns. 8 blocks for the Hawks. And look at Beverly convert in transition.
Now you want to see some explosion. Watch this gunslinger not only shoot the basketball, you talk about explosion. He just gave it to you right in your living room.
And he comes up with a strip and the lead for Urban. Patrick Beverly has keyed a late second half Arkansas explosion, and the Razorbacks have stretched it out to their biggest lead. .6'1", 172 pounds, soaking wet. But boy, he's got some hops, Coach.
You watch. You want to see some explosion. Watch this. Oh, my goodness. The young man from Chicago and was not highly recruited. Can you believe that?
He had 34 steals coming in, and he has shown us a complete game here in the first half.
He committed to Toledo, didn't sign. He was hanging around. What a coup for Stan Heath. This guy is making noise early, will continue to make noise throughout his career.
Heath and the man to his right there, Dan Hipsher, his top assistant. They put together 3 straight back-to-back top 15 recruiting classes. As Demetrius Jemison can't connect at the free throw line. Wow. Speaking of gunslingers, we'll see one tomorrow. That would be young Chris Lofton as his 19th ranked Tennessee Vols host the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Tom Hammond, Larry Conley with that action for you.
Now he can put a dagger in you. SEC basketball, what can you say? I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I know Mike Slive, Mark Womack and company, they have to be extremely happy with what's going on with their entire organization, having a great year in football, but this basketball, 2 teams of Final Four a year ago. Now you look at what has happened. Alabama, the 8th ranked team. Look at Arkansas, what they're doing to them. SEC basketball.
South Carolina with back-to-back NIT championships as well. The announcers for this game are selected and compensated by Lincoln Financial Sports. Any use of this broadcast without the express permission of the Southeastern Conference and Lincoln Financial Sports is prohibited. The 75th season of Southeastern Conference basketball tipping off today. Boy, it has been a rough one for that man.
Well, Mark is trying to tone his team down. This is a road test, the first one in the league, and there's still a long way to go, but he's trying to settle them down. He's changing defenses. He's making the right strategies. Offensively, very simply, it's very difficult when you're down 24 to not try to get it back quick, but that has also been the demise of Alabama on the offensive end. We're seeing Arkansas spread the ball out, a little 4-corner action. They're going to try to let Irvin penetrate, and he's going to try to either make a play or dish off for a shot.
There's the penetration. He gets hung up, couldn't get it to anybody. One of the few times things didn't go as scripted for the Razorbacks, as Patrick Beverly and company trying to pump up this crowd, and they've pumped them up with an incredible half of basketball. The Razorbacks all over the Tide here in Fayetteville. Dave Baker, Cliff Ellis, we're back underway in Fayetteville, Arkansas at the Bud Walton Arena here in the SEC opener where the Arkansas Razorbacks, that's right, have a 24-point lead over the 8th ranked Crimson Tide, and that young man, Patrick Beverly, one of the biggest reasons.
Alabama opens man-to-man, stop on the first possession. Now get a good possession here. The break's not there. Change sides of the floor, go inside. Let the defense make the mistake.
There's Hendricks, and he's fouled by Stephen Hill. Not a lot to talk about from the Alabama side of things in terms of leading scores. But Alonzo G leading the way with 6. As Stephen Hill gets whistled for his second foul. There you see G triggering the inbounds. It's G, Riley, Davidson, Hendricks, and Steele for the Tide. And there's Hendricks with a nice look, and he converts.
Hendricks pulls Hill outside, takes that 7-foot body away from the basket, drills a high post jumper.
Beverly, Weems, Irvin, Thomas, and Hill for the Razorbacks. Weems off the screen, can't get it to go. And there's Davidson with a board. Bama quickly into the transition. Gary Irvin tried to draw the charge, but instead it's Hendricks with his 4th point in the opening minute and a half of this second half.
And in the opening minute and a half in this first 5 minutes of the second half, it's key for both teams. Alabama sending a message here. You want to try to get this basketball game under 10 points. Don't try to get it back in a hurry. Get this game, if you're Alabama, inside 10 points, then go from there.
Floater by Beverly won't fall. And Arkansas, after such a hot start, hadn't been able to hit here to begin the second half. And it's the Crimson Tide that has come out, and they've got it going. Riley hits. The Crimson Tide have scored the first 7 as they look to get back in it against the Hogs. The Alabama Crimson Tide has come out and scored the first 7 points of the second half, and they've got a little something going on, Cliff.
Well, you see Hendricks pulling Hill out away from the basket. Alabama pushing the basketball. Textbook possessions as they open the half. They've taken the basketball inside. They pushed the break. Opportunity's been there. Give credit to Alabama's defense for triggering these situations to happen. And right now, in the first minute 45 seconds, Alabama sent a strong message.
And you got to give credit to that man, Mark Gottfried. Apparently what he said at halftime was well received.
Absolutely. Set play by Arkansas, trying to get Beverly off of 2 screens. And he didn't have it. And I like his unselfishness. He didn't have the shot. He's not forcing it. This Arkansas team, this is the 6th pass. And you see what it does. It breaks down, and you get an opportunity even if it doesn't go. With 6 or 7 passes, it breaks the defense down.
Broke the defense down, and then Weems created just enough separation to get himself a nice look at the basket.
Now we see a steal coming off the high post pick. They're trying to free him for the jumper.
There he is, and he gets it to go. Foot on the line, that's a 2.
Anytime you make a basket, it slows the break down. You see Arkansas is not able to get those numbers. They're going to try to get it off the half-court set. Hill will set 5 or 6 screens a half.
Boy, that is a set play. That's something on the scouting report. I was watching Louisiana Tech tape this morning, and they ran that same play. But yet Riley comes back to answer. Mikhail Riley from Pine Bluff heating things up for the folks who are here to watch him as Bama has come out and hit its first 5 shots of the second half. And that, my friend, is the kind of day it's been for the Hogs. Here, Hill airballs it, but Thomas bails him out.
You see the push. Riley is playing with a swagger. He's not in awe. He's got a smile on his face. He's loving being in this atmosphere. The fans are trying to give him a hard time, but he's answered the bell. He said, here's one, I'll raise you one.
Mark Gottfried said yesterday he was the perfect fit for the perfect shoe.
Well, they got a steal outside of Ronald Steele.
But right now, the shoe's on the other foot.
Little press by Arkansas, a little full court pressure. Thomas has good mobility, has lost 10 pounds, added some quickness.
And you see the difference in shooting. And will it? That'll be a backcourt violation. Yes, sir.
And on that possession, give a lot of credit to Stephen Thomas. He's lost 10 pounds. It's like taking a weighted vest and taking it off of you. Arkansas threw up a press. His quickness created that turnover along with the guard.
Well, you see Charles Thomas from Jackson Mississippi, Callaway High School, 6'8", now at 235 rather than 245. Beverly, gosh almighty.
This guy is fearless going to the basket.
16 points for the freshman out of Chicago. And as well as Alabama has started the second half, Arkansas has had an answer. But there Hill gets called for his third foul, and Stan Heath is on his knees in disbelief. He thought it was actually blocked by the rim.
Well, he's hotter than August on the sidelines, but that's a nice set play by Mark Gottfried and Alabama Crimson Tide. Arkansas has extended their pressure. They take it to high post, hit a backdoor play, and get the play. Here we look at it inside. I like the call. Yeah, we've got a good crew, Tom Lopes and crew. I like the call. He wasn't straight up. He extended it. Contact on the other end.
Now that's something you probably never said when you were coaching. I like the call.
It's according to how the call went.
Darian Towns checks in for Hill, and look at Beverly on the backdoor cut, but a nice play. There's Riley again, as he has really upped the effort and up the productivity for the Crimson Tide here in the early part of the second half. Steal off the bounce, can't get it to go. And then Hendricks is blocked by Towns, and he'll get called for the foul.
Well, this half we're seeing the real Alabama. We're seeing the 8th-rated team in the country. They're sending a strong statement. They can get back in this game if they'll continue to play defense. Try to cut it to 10.
It's our Alltel Wireless Game of the Week. We hope you're enjoying it. Dave Baker, Cliff Ellis. Dave Behringer is our producer. Dave Burchett, our director today, with our entire Lincoln Financial crew, as we're delighted to be back for our 21st season of Southeastern Conference basketball. And it's been Arkansas racing out to the big early lead against number 8 Alabama. The Crimson Tide made 8 field goals the entire first half, and Cliff, the Big E tells us that they've made 5 in the opening 4 minutes of this half.
Well, it's been created by their defense. Ronald Steele, excellent job of pushing, also going inside to the big man, Richard Hendricks. He commands the real estate. He's the landlord for Alabama inside. Shoots a high percentage at 61%. Get him the basketball.
Irvin, who had the 7 points, 7 assists, and 1 turnover in the first half. And what a pass inside. What a sweet look from Charles Thomas to Darian Towns. Big man to big man.
And Towns sealing down low. We want to get a replay of that. That's beautiful high-low play, but the seal down low of Towns, he took some space inside.
Davidson trying to make something happen, spins, turns, and gets called for the offensive foul.
Well, there's a difference in the 2 seals. We can show a replay on that somewhere during the point of the game. We see a great seal by Towns. That time Davidson didn't catch and locate. The defense was in position. He just tried to back in, and it was a good call.
You know, Cliff, Jamario Davidson goes to the bench with his 3rd foul. We haven't had a chance to touch on his story. We will during the course of this game, but it's just phenomenal that the young man is able to get out here on the court and do what he's doing with everything he's had to deal with outside the lines.
Yeah.
Now gets the jump hook to go, and Arkansas's got it going again.
Again, the seal by Towns. He's sitting into his game. He's low. He's playing below the waist and demanding the basketball.
And a big story here in Arkansas earlier in the week. Towns apparently didn't like the fact he got the early hook the other night against Tulsa. As the ball goes into the backcourt, and look at Beverly get on the floor. Steele's on the floor. And the Tide come back, but Weems has it.
Look at Gary Irvin. Unselfish basketball.
And Thomas is fouled from behind as Steele is on the floor. Boy, this thing is all over the place. You got to like the hustle, but it's all going Arkansas's way.
Well, we're going to see some defense. Look at Beverly Strip and Hollinger dive for the. This is what you expect from SEC basketball. Both teams diving after loose balls, getting on the floor. First game of the conference race. Fans, you've got a great season in store.
Wow, and look at Thomas. You've talked about that seal the entire second half, Cliff, and it's, you know, Arkansas is just beating Alabama to the spot right now, and they're holding the spot. And now Thomas will have a chance to complete the three-point play.
As a coach, we call it sitting into your game. You get low, you play, and post below your waist and show your hands. And when you get that position, seal and keep your feet moving. And Arkansas is doing a beautiful job of that.
And Cliff, I'm sorry, we're at the 14:25 mark here, Cliff, and Gary Irvin has already got 10 assists.
Well, I think we'll see a double-double out of the young man. Arkansas showing some minimal full-court pressure, no traps.
Arkansas with its biggest lead at 25, and here's how it got there.
But you see the seal from Thomas. He takes it in. He's playing low. Backs in, makes the power play. Sitting into your game.
There's Irvin back into Thomas. Towns was open. They got it to him late, but he's still able to convert. Man, oh man, oh man.
Arkansas is pounding Alabama inside, which is, in my opinion, Alabama has as good a tandem as there is in the country. Arkansas is pounding inside, sealing, and being very unselfish with the basketball. Mark Gottfried and his team, they're going to learn a lot from this film as they go down the stretch. There's still a lot of time to go, but I'm telling you, this Arkansas team is for real playing this game the way it is.
There you take a look at Darian Towns. I started to tell the story a moment ago. He got hot when he got the early hook the other night. He and Stan Heath went back and forth at each other on the bench. Stan sent him to the showers. Towns came back out. He was very apologetic afterwards and everything. I talked to Stan before the game. He said, young man just sometimes has a little trouble controlling his emotions, but everything's fine between them. And certainly he's responded this afternoon.
Well, he's played a great game. And speaking of big men, he comes from the same high school that produced John Thompson, Archbishop Carroll High School. Look at the pass he made. Produced John Thompson. John Thompson, he's a guy that teaches big man stuff. This guy is smiling. He's playing with a swagger. What a day for the young man. I like him. He's my kind of big guy. He can seal. He moves down inside.
Alabama started this half with a 7-0 run. But now Arkansas has responded with an 11-3 run of their own as they have their biggest lead of the afternoon.
But give credit to Mark Gottfried for the way he got his team ready to come out in the second half. And after the first time out, give Stan Heath credit for getting his team back on track because they have thwarted the first 5 minutes that Alabama set up.
Charles Thomas goes to the bench for the Razorbacks, and Vincent Hunter, who had a good first half, comes back in, the 6'10 junior out of J.A. Fair High School in Little Rock. Jemison, nice pass into Davidson, who has it stripped. That was Weems that got a hand on it. I don't know whether that will count as a knockaway or a block, but it has been a block party for the Razorbacks today. They had 9 block shots in the first half.
Arkansas in a 2-3 zone. The soft spot's the high post area and penetration. You see Steele with penetration. It's not there. Need to move the basketball. Get it to the high post area.
Thrown right to Irvin. Can he convert? Yes, he can.
There's not a better player in the country one-on-one in the open floor than Gary Irvin. That is his game. Brooklyn, New York style. You get him one-on-one in the open court, he's going to drop a bomb on you, and you look at the smile on the face and hear the crowd.
No smile on that face of Mark Gottfried, as his Tide has had a tough way to go this afternoon. Time now for the Charles Schwab time to talk, as we've got a timeout on the floor, and as the teams discuss strategy, you should too. Get someone to talk with you, not at you. Talk to Chuck. Cliff, I guess if you're in that Alabama huddle, what in the world are you saying?
Well, the thing that you want to do, you don't want to develop bad habits. You've got to come back. There's 15 games in this conference race left, and this game's not over. But you've got LSU coming up. You don't want bad habits. You want to make the good passes. You want to continue to do what you did to be number 8 in the country. In the first half, they didn't come out and play the way an 8th-rated team would be, but in the first 5 minutes of the second half, they did. Try to do the things that got you where you are.
And you want to
Steele coming off the high post pitch. Watch him take screens. Try to free him. There he comes. Get him the ball.
He does, in fact, get free on the baseline, but can't convert. And G pulls down the board.
Said it, give him a screen, let him make a play.
Jemison off the pick and roll. He was on the line. It's a 2, but that is the first bucket for Demetrius Jemison. Check that, second bucket.
Arkansas needs to do what got them there. Get the seals inside. Try to find those big guys inside. They've been nailing them.
Hunter had a foot on the line as he hits the long 2.
And you see, Hunter can pull you out, and that's very difficult for Alabama to guard a 4-man or a power player that can shoot the basketball, something that Alabama will have to pick up on. I'm sure there'll be a lot of SEC teams that will try to take Hendricks and Davidson outside. And if you got a shooter, they have not shown they're going to guard it.
The Razorbacks have had lots of shooters today, and they're about to turn into the Hunter instead of the Huntee. It's the opening weekend of the 75th season of SEC basketball, and we're delighted you're here with us on Lincoln Financial Sports. And speaking of delighted, those folks that are wearing those hog heads have been this afternoon, as the Razorbacks are all over number 8 Alabama 68-39.
Well, 19,000 plus in here. The school is not back. It's given an opportunity for people to see this Razorback team perhaps for the first time. What a job they've done here this afternoon.
As you take a look at our Aaron's scoreboard, you see Boston College on top of NC State big, and Ohio State with a 12-point lead over Illinois.
Need a Clemson score. One of my records is going down. About to catch that 17-0 86-87 team. Need to keep an eye on it.
Maybe they're all made to be broken.
That's right. Pulling for them hard, too. 17-0 at 86-87. Clemson making an assault on that record.
There's Towns working low against Jemison. Boy, what a strong move inside. That's the kind of player that Stan Heath has believed that Darian Towns could develop into all along, and he and Irvin are both kind of having breakout games here today.
Well, Stan Heath has been a progress in place. He started out with 9 wins, then goes 12, 18, 22. But you're seeing what I consider Arkansas Razorback basketball. And you're seeing it with inside play. There you see Towns, as we mentioned, Archbishop Carroll High School that produced John Thompson. And that produces inside strength. Big fella from Georgetown would be proud. But this basketball team from Arkansas, it's a throwback from the past teams. It started way back when, but you got to go back to Eddie Sutton, who took many teams to the NCAA tournament. Nolan Richardson. This team has gone to so many NCAA tournaments. They've gone to 28 NCAA tournaments, 6 Final Fours, 1 national championship, and they've got all the ingredients to be on the national scene. You've got Bud Walton Arena, you got tradition, and you got the powerful Southeastern Conference to play in. So all the ingredients are here, and you see the fans here. This is a tough place. Arkansas basketball is back.
8-0 here at home this year. Last year, Stan Heath's club 15-1 in this building, the best home record in the SEC.
It's a tough place to play, believe me. I can tell you. I brought a 99 team in here that was number 2 in the country. 20,000 plus, the second biggest Razorback crowd ever. And we got whacked. Mark Gottfried will pick this team back up, and you'll see this 8th-rated Alabama team come back from this. They have to. They've got LSU next.
Coleman with a tough turnaround jumper. Yamin Coleman, the 6'9", 230-pound freshman, gets his first bucket of the game.
Well, a lot of people would say, how is this happening? Well, this is basketball. I've been there on both ends of the fence. As I mentioned, I brought a number 2 team here in '99 and got whacked, and we were a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Mark Gottfried will bring this team back. It's just one of those days that the office didn't happen. Give Arkansas credit. It's early in the SEC race. Still a lot of basketball to be played.
Two great games by these teams a year ago as G misfires. I think this is going to be the eye-popping score of the day as people look around the country. Beverly on the penetration, and he's fouled in there by Coleman.
You take a top 10 team and they do this, it'll raise the awareness for Arkansas, I can tell you.
Fans, follow our coverage of SEC basketball all season long by logging on to lfsports.com to check out the Toyota Info Center. See the complete slate of conference matchups, track season standings, and find out where you can catch our next broadcast. You can even customize your experience of the games and the station in your area. The Toyota Info Center on lfsports.com, your online destination for our coverage of SEC hoops. Stephen Hill checks back into the game as Beverly's at the line. You heard the big ovation for Darian Towns, who gets a much-deserved rest on the Arkansas bench.
Well, he played a well of a second half thus far, and I'm sure we'll see some more of it. Here's Steele coming off the high post rub. UCLA offense that set screens and use screens.
Steele doing a nice job of controlling that pass and then stepping out and getting the shot to knock it down. And Thomas has it poked away by Hendricks. Look at the big man run the court and leave the basketball in there for the 2 points in transition.
A little too much pastry that time by Thomas. Arkansas needs to continue to run their half-court offense, move the basketball. This motion offense will set screens. Hill will set many screens, try to free people, and then try to pound that basketball inside.
There's Hill posted up against Coleman, but as you said, Cliff, that's the one area that has not come along in this game just yet.
Well, and he's frustrated with it too. You can see it on his face.
Coleman can't get the turnaround, and Beverly pushes to Irvin. Weems followed it up. A nice defense back there in the backcourt by Steele to save the sure two.
And we're seeing our key of the game really come into place. Transition defense for Alabama, biggest key in the game, in my opinion. Alabama has struggled with it. Arkansas has taken advantage of it.
Arkansas had 12 fast break points in the first half to none for the Crimson Tide as Weems misses the first. Mikhail Torrance, number 2, checks into the basketball game for the first time for Alabama. 6'4", 185-pound freshman from 8 Mile, Alabama. And Vincent Hunter back into the game for the Razorbacks as Sonny Weems now has 16. Patrick Beverly with 18 as they have led this Arkansas onslaught. Coleman spins. Hill didn't challenge him that time with those 3 fouls, and once again the Razorbacks on the run.
Gary Irvin in the open court will make plays. If it's one-on-one or it's open, he's going to make plays, and we're seeing the patented presses from the pass of this Arkansas team. Full court pressure. Look at Hunter and Irvin dogging Beverly trying to get into it.
Nice drive by the freshman, and even better follow by G.
Nice attack by the Crimson side.
Alonzo G with 10, and you see Gary Irvin with that basketball. He's now got that double-double. 11 points to go along with 10 assists as Weems can't connect. Irvin with the basketball. That's his first double-double in a Razorback uniform. And now Beverly will reset the offense as time becoming an ally for Arkansas. And Stan Heath wants to take a 30-second timeout. Irvin over there in front of the bench, and I think he's cramping up a little bit. That might be the only thing that can slow down he and the Hog. Number 8 Alabama. Boy, they have come into a den of wild hogs today. As you see Gary Irvin up walking around. Stan Heath took that timeout. Irvin, who's got that double-double, 11 points and 10 assists. There with trainer Dave England. Looked like he was cramping up a little bit. And today's telecast featuring Arkansas is brought to you in part by Gulf States Toyota.
Beverly constantly moving without the basketball.
Boy, and Hunter has grown awfully fond of that jumper from outside the three-point line.
But he has the skills to stick it.
Boy, another block. He comes back and makes the play on the defensive end as Hunter, as he is able to swat it away from Hendricks. But Arkansas retains possession with 26 on the shot clock. Oh, nice job by the Razorbacks as they got the good trap without committing a foul.
Well, they threw it in the short corner, but that's like handing him a grenade with the pin pulled out and said, hey, you take it. Yeah. You know, don't throw it in that corner where you can be trapped.
Sean McCurdy in there for the Razorbacks now as G's cut off at the baseline. Mikhail Torrance got a good look but couldn't get it to go. G forced it underneath, and Hill with a rebound for the Razorbacks. As the substitutions come in, we take another look at our Aaron scoreboard. Number 6 Ohio State in control at Illinois. 13th ranked Butler almost doubling up Wright State. And that's a look at our Aaron scoreboard. And there you see a score that if you're just tuning in, that is not a typo. That is correct.
Still no Clemson score. They must not have started.
Towns, boy, he got a good look there on the baseline, but couldn't get it to go over Coleman. Nice play by Lonzo G in the open court. G with a dozen. He's the one guy who's been able to get some consistent productivity for the Crimson Tide.
Now, if you're Alabama, you want pressure. May see two defenses, pressure in the backcourt and a man defense in the half court. For Arkansas, move the basketball, move yourself, let the defense make a mistake. And there's the guy that has been the player of the game, in my opinion, Gary Irvin. The way that he's played, he's been the dominant player at the point guard position in this particular game.
Not only Irvin from an offensive standpoint, but you've got to credit the defensive job that Arkansas has done as well. Alonzo G with a dozen, Mikhail Riley with 11. But Hendricks, who's had the 4 straight double-doubles, has only got 7 points and 5 boards. And Jamario Davidson has been on the bench for a while. He's only got 2 fouls, but 5 points. And you know, with that, we talked about it earlier, Cliff, with everything he's gone through, his brother was shot in the head. He and his girlfriend, who was an Alabama student, had went to pay a visit to the hospital. They're involved in a traffic accident. She dies in the hospital just several floors below where his brother was fighting for his life upstairs. And then on December 20th, his brother dies as a result of that gunshot. And I had a chance to talk to Jamario a little bit before the game. Mark Gottfried said he's as proud of that young man as anybody could be. He's got a great support system in his mom. And you mentioned it. I mean, this is his therapy.
Well, I have never seen in my tenure of coaching and following the game anyone that has gone through what he's gone through in that period of time. Within 6-week period, he lost 2 loved ones, and that's very difficult for anyone. For that young man to do what he's done, it's a tribute to him and tribute to his support group, and I admire the job that Mark Gottfried has done in working with him and getting him through this. Jamario Davidson, a fine young man, a fine player, and our hearts have gone out with him. The whole nation has. And to his family.
And with Davidson on the bench, the Hogs continue to run wild. How many times this half have we seen Beverly deliver a pass to Irvin, and Irvin is able to convert?
You think Frank Boyles is smart? Oh, my Lord.
Folks, I'm telling you,
they took advantage of room service on that play, my friend. They took advantage of the room service. My goodness.
Wasn't room service there. That was on the concierge level, my friend.
Well, he served it to him pretty good on that platter.
The high-flying Arkansas Razorbacks in this, the highest play of the day. Gary Irvin. My, oh my, oh my. 16 points. That's a career high. 11 assists. Just 3 away from his career high in that category. However, it is an Arkansas career high. And tomorrow, Chris Lofton, Bruce Pearl, and the Tennessee Vols, ranked 19th, host the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Tom Hammond, Larry Conley with the coverage at 4. Check your local listings for the location in your area. There's Irvin with a steal, and another lay-in as that one will be goaltending against Coleman. Boy, Gary Irvin has got the Hogs in control. We're back after these messages from your local SEC station. Boy, they are rocking and rolling at the Bud Walton Arena today as the Razorbacks jumped out early, scored the first 14 points of the contest, and they've never let off the throttle as they lead Alabama, number 8 Alabama, by 36.
Arkansas going to 2-3 zone. Soft spot inside.
Coleman is fouled. And that'll give us an opportunity to tell you that today's Arkansas telecast is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau.
I mean Coleman, young man from Camden, Alabama. Foul shooting is an area that you struggle with throughout the year. A tremendous rebounder. Our player inside. You watch his foul shot. He dips the ball on his foul shot. A lot of extra motion, but he hits those too.
Tell you, we saw that shot of Mark Gottfried just a second ago, and at the shoot-around last night, Cliff, he said he's been telling his team all along, I've told these guys it's a long season. And, you know, teams with 5 and 6 losses used to be gloom and doom in the conference, but I believe teams with 5 and 6 league losses now can go on and make it to the Final Four and win national championships.
Well, this team will be back, and, you know, with all that's going on at Alabama this week, you know, it's probably taken a focus off of this Alabama basketball team, and it could have been a distraction with all this going on trying to get prepared here.
Did something happen down there this week?
It's not an excuse, but at the same time, there's been a lot going on, and there hadn't been much thinking about Alabama basketball, but they'll be back. Now, there's been a lot going on in Tuscaloosa this week, and got to give credit to Mal Moore for the hire. A tremendous hire. It's got the Alabama nation all fired up. I know that Mal Moore worked hard for that hire, and he picked up a pretty good coach, wouldn't you say?
Nick Saban scheduled to be introduced at that Tuesday night game against LSU, I believe it is, as the Crimson Tide head back home. And speaking of tough starts, this Arkansas team, no time to celebrate this one because they get the national champs next.
Well, there's no time to celebrate against anybody in this league. This league is so powerful. You play 16 games, you can't get too high and you can't get too low. You'll see Alabama bounce back, and then at the same time, when you look at this game, Arkansas against Florida, at Florida next week, they're going to see the same type of crowd. That crowd at Alligator Alley, they'll erupt on you too. So what a great test, but they're all big games.
Again, I'll echo your thoughts and sentiments. Mal Moore knows folks stayed resolute in what they wanted to do with that situation. And brother, they got her done.
And I want to say this too. It's a great hire, but also Mike Shula did a good job for them. It's kind of like President Ford following President Nixon. He took them through it after a tumultuous time, and he brought them through it. Mike Shula did that. So for the Alabama fans, always recognize that. But Alabama football certainly is in good position, in good hands with Nick Saban. And of course, Malmore, excellent, strong athletic director, strong cast. As with Arkansas, Frank Broyles, I know he's smiling today.
Boy, I'm telling you.
He's smiling. You know, after that football season and what he's seeing here. I mean, this is Arkansas basketball as I recall it right here.
There you take a look at what lies ahead for Mark Gottfried and company.
And I've been there. You look at him, you can tell I've been there. But he's got LSU, and he'll certainly feel a lot better. Practice is going to pick up, fellas, this week. I can tell you
Ouch.
that. It's going to pick up. You get out of here, get on the plane, put this behind you, watch the film. How can I get better? It's the healthiest Alabama's been in a while, and they've played with injuries, but this will be a tremendous learning experience for this basketball team.
Of course, a lot of the folks that don't get a lot of playing time in there now for both clubs, as McCurdy puts it up off the glass, no good. I don't think anybody, as they looked ahead to this game, thought that that would be the case with a minute to go. Coleman up and under, can't get the follow to go, and it's pulled down by Cyrus McGowan.
And even guys off the bench are coming in hustling for this Razorback team. You just feel it. It just builds. McGowan, he's fixing to light this crowd up if that one goes.
Coaches like Cliff Ellis will tell you that you've got to hold serve at home. And at least in the last couple of seasons, there's been nobody better than the Arkansas Razorbacks in terms of doing that at Bud Walton Arena. 15-1 in the Basketball Palace of Mid-America a year ago. And with this victory today, 9-0 at home, but most importantly, 1-0 in the tough SEC. And the Razorbacks dominant today as they knock off the 8th-ranked Crimson Tide. We're back to wrap things up in Fayetteville right after this.